Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. This is Paul Cones. I'm the owner of Courthouse Direct here in Houston, and I've got on the phone with me Karen Riddle. Say hello, Karen.
Good morning. Welcome.
We're going to have a discussion today about courthousedirect.com. I know some of the folks that are on the line with us have used courthousedirect.com a lot, and maybe there's some few tricks they're going to learn in the process. And then there's other folks that had recently joined our service, and we want to do what we can to give you the information you need to be as effective as you can, using Courthouse Direct. So as we go through the slide here, just want to point out, I always like this little cartoon here about how much longer it's going to take to finish that darn title search. But our company actually has been in business for 31 years. We started really as an abstracting company doing research for engineers and surveyors, and we've from there we started building databases, and we also had built title plant facilities for title insurance companies. So the different companies we own are courthousedirect.com, which really is our online service where we deliver document images and indexes over the internet, and also link to public records nationwide. And then we own a title agency, and our title agency is called Integrity Title Company, and we're licensed in 37 counties throughout Texas. We're licensed in all the counties where we own title plants, and Integrity Title Records is the company we build title plants with. So again, since we build title plants for title insurance companies, and we have 37 counties where we provide title plants, we are actually the largest provider of title plant facilities for title insurance in Texas. And then we also own an abstracting company, which was really our first research company, which is Courthouse Specialist, and we still do research for engineers and surveyors and attorneys and so on. We also sponsor a couple of websites that you might be interested in. One is courthousesquare.com, where if you're looking for a real estate professional, be it a surveyor, engineer, appraiser, anybody like that, you're able to drill down to a county and then pick the people that are located in that county that might be able to help you. It's free to get listed on Courthouse Square, and it's also free to search on Courthouse Square. So I would encourage you, whether you're a landman or a surveyor or whoever you might be that's on the phone with us, to think about getting listed on Courthouse Square. And then landmandirect.com is a resource tool for landmen to be able to find out more information about, how an oil well works, and a lot of other just good information there. So our discussion today is really going to be around the different products that we provide through Courthouse Direct, and those are namely the document images that we provide statewide and then also nationwide. So we have about 1,000 counties nationwide where we have document images, and then in Texas we have about 120 counties in Texas. We also build grantor-grantee indexes, and I think when you look at our grantor-grantee indexes, they really go far beyond what anybody else does out there, and certainly beyond whatever the county clerk may provide, and we'll look at that a little bit later. And then also, too, if you're a leasing agent or you're trying to track people down, we have a resource that we call Property Reports, and we could call that Find a Person, because it's about 1,600 counties nationwide, or actually jurisdictions nationwide, because some of them are, like in New Jersey, they have more of a township type deal. But if you're looking for people, not a better resource to be able to track people down than our Property Reports. And then also, too, we scan records. So we have scanning crews that are working in courthouses. Essentially, we have about 6 scanning crews that are either working in courthouses or working in title companies every day scanning records. So for our company, we really don't settle on just getting 20 years of records or 30 years of records. We're not really satisfied until we have pretty much every document that's in the courthouse. We've also built some specialized searches. If you're, let's say, doing a lot of lien searching or doing a lot of what we call O&Es, or ownership and encumbrance reports, we've got a great tool which we call our adverse lien search. And then for the oil and gas landman, we built a tool that's called an oil and gas lease check. and we'll look at that a little bit more later, but it just allows you as a landman to get into a county, put in a survey name, and look at all the oil and gas activity in that portion of the county. And then also, again, our property reports. A new service we rolled out recently is this lease alert product. And what we do there is whenever there's new oil and gas leases that are filed in the county, we'll send you an email and say these were the oil and gas leases that were filed last week or within the last 10 days within this particular county that you're working in. And to know who is working in what county and how many leases are filed is really powerful information. And again, we'll show that to you in just a little bit. And then also, too, we provide mailing labels. So particularly in large real estate areas where, let's say, for instance, I'm running a water line or a sewer line and I need to notify all the people along the line, you can use our mailing label service to be able to very quickly create a list of mailing labels. We're going to do a kind of a quick overview of courthousedirect.com, and at the end of the program, we're going to go into what we call our Texas Geo indexes. We build title plans for title insurance companies. Most of the people that are on the line today are not necessarily title agencies, but there are some that are title agencies. But we also provide access to our databases for non-insurance purposes, and that's what our Geo index are. And we're kind of proud of what we do here in that we build these databases as abstractors and landmen for abstractors and landmen. So I think if I were to kind of look at some of my competitors out there, I would say that those people are not necessarily title people. They're really computer people that want to put data online. So that's, I think, the difference between us and the other guys. So again, I told you that we do scanning of records, and a lot of the records that we scan are sovereignty databases and title plans that we've been able to acquire through the years. So we have just a wealth of information, whether it's a title plant that's in a track book or a title plant that's on cards. And also, too, whenever we go into a county to do scanning, it's really important to us to get a copy of all the grantor-grantee indexes that are located in the county, too. So you can use both a title plan if that's available, and then back that up with the grantor-grantee indexes, and that's really what we want to do, and I call that belt and suspenders. But anyway, we also have, again, all the older documents, or we try to get all the older documents. It's a large undertaking to be able to get all these records, but again, we're not satisfied until we get all the records going all the way back. And that includes not only the real property records, but certainly any oil and gas records, mortgage records, and that sort of thing. And then another thing that we always try to get our hands on are the subdivision plats. So you never know when you're working in like a large lot subdivision, and you just need to look at a plat to either get a dimension or something like that. So let's go ahead and get started and just jump into the title plan itself. This is the home page for Courthouse Direct, and the presentation that I'm going to walk through here, is going to be kind of what I might call my kind of standard presentation of the website itself. But what I want to encourage you to do is find either the chat button or the discussion, the question and answer button on your dashboard, and you can pose a question as we go along here, and Karen is going to monitor any questions that you have, and so if I'm in the middle of something, don't worry about it. Karen can interrupt me and say, we've got a question here that may be relevant to what we're looking at. So again, I'm on the home page of Courthouse Direct, and if we look along the top, primarily what we do is provide document images nationwide, grantor-grantee indexes, mainly in Texas, but we do have a few in California. This information that we call property reports, we also have what we call a deed and mortgage report. That's part of this. And then we're also doing more mapping now, which is our GIS. And if you look along the left-hand side of the website, you see nationwide, these are the things that we do nationwide. And then in Texas, we do all of those things nationwide, but in Texas, you can see it's narrowed down to the grantor-grantee indexes. We also do some manual retrieval for folks. If they can't find something online, then we can send someone to the courthouse or do a search for them if they'd like to retain us to do that. And then we have historical records, and again, as I mentioned, we do all this scanning in courthouses, so what we do is take those records and put them in our historical document area. You can also jump into our what we call our geo-index title plants in this area here, and then again along the left-hand side you can go to the adverse liens and that sort of thing. So let's say, for instance, we know the file number of a document that we want to pull, and I just want to jump in and go pull that particular document that I know the file number for. So here I can just select the state and then drill down to the county, and I'm guilty of choosing Harris County because I'm so familiar with it, but I'm going to put in just a file number. So in Harris County we use a letter and 6 digits, and I'm just putting an arbitrary number in here. But let's say, for instance, I have a project number that we just might call it project 10, and I want to buy this document. So I just click buy document, it goes to our image database, and I can look down below and see, click on view image, and then open, and I can see the document that I wanted to download. So it's that quick that I can get to whatever document I want to get to. And then if I click on the available county button, which is kind of in the middle of the page, you can pretty quickly see all the counties that we have nationwide. Again, we had on this list, we're not over 1,000, but we're very close there. And you can see in Texas we have 127 counties total in Texas. And then back to the top here, if I choose grantor, grantee, again this time I'm going to click on available counties before I do a search. And you're going to see all the different counties in Texas where we have grantor, grantee indexes. A big question that we get is, how current is your data? And so for us, it's extremely important to keep our data as current as we can keep it. And so if the county will allow us to actually get the data daily, we'll get it daily. But most times we get it weekly, sometimes every 10 days. There's still a few clerks that we have to kind of, prod along to get the data, in less than, let's say, 30 days. But I think that's kind of an exception, and I think a lot of them are making better progress. So again, if I were to just go down here and choose Harris County, Texas, to use the grantor grantee, then I'm ready to do a search, and I can search by the grantor, the grantee, or the party. I can also perform a sub-search, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute. If I know the file number of a document, I could actually search the file number here. In Harris County, we also, on the older documents, use film code numbers. And you can filter your information by pulling up only the warranty deeds or something like that. But let's go ahead and just do a search. And I'm going to do what is a fairly common name, which is the name Smith, and then the first name Anna. So when I search Anna Smith in Harris County, and I'm searching under the party name, I'm looking for Anna Smith both as grantor and grantee. And if you notice that there's different colors that are being highlighted here, so it's finding Anna Smith in this case, and the left-hand column is grantor, and the next column is grantee. And then we identify the document types, again, the official clerk file number of the document, the filing date of the document, which of course may be different from the execution date, and then the legal description. A lot of the legal descriptions we're parsing out, and we're making those legal descriptions better. In fact, the data that you're looking at for these legal descriptions comes out of our title plant facilities. So it's a lot of data that we've hand-keyed ourselves to make it a lot better. And then also the lot and block and section number. And then these older documents in Harris County, it's funny, they've got 3 numbers. One is the volume and page number of the document, whether it be a deed record or a mortgage record, and then also a film code number when they decided to go to microfilm. And then they also have an official clerk file number. So Harris County, there's some documents that actually have three references to them. And so anyway, that's how we would search Anna Smith. But let's say, for instance, I know that Anna Smith did some business with someone named Marshall, or let's say, for instance, she owned property in the Marshall subdivision or the Marshall survey. Then I can use this sub-search to be able to drill down to only those records where Anna Smith has done business with Marshall. So for instance, I went from, I think, 400 and something records or 500 something records down to only 4 records. So it allows me to almost like throw a dart and find exactly what it is I'm looking for. And let's say, for instance, that's the document I think I need. Then I just click on the button and say buy a selected document. And it goes over to our image database and pulls it back. And we can see it's a 13-page document, and I want to view the document here. So this is, you can look at the document on the left-hand side, and this is kind of a funny document in that Anna Smith is also known as Anna Nicole Smith, which is also Vicki Lynn Smith. And they went on a little shopping spree to New York, and he bought her a $455,000 diamond ring and a $493,000 necklace, and spent $2 million that day and put $1.6 million on the American Express card. It's kind of a funny document, in that it has that information in it. But we like using that as an example because you can take a common name like Smith and say match it against Marshall and find out all the activity between Smith and Marshall. And so that's very powerful to be able to do that. And so let's say, for instance, I wanted to email these documents to you. There's a couple ways I could do this. One, I could click on this button that says Email Receipt, and it'll open up this button that says an email receipt has been sent to P. Cones at Courthouse Direct. And so, for instance, if I were to open up my email, which I'm doing here, and I want to forward this over to Karen, then I'm just going to hit the forward button and then put in her email address, Karen Riddle. There she is. And I'm going to relabel this just as Anna Nicole. And I'm going to hit the send button. Now when I do that, we're not sending these big TIFF images around. We're actually sending a hyperlink back to the document itself. So if you notice when I hold the mouse over the View Image button, it's pointing to a link to be able to look at the document, which is very powerful because you're just not clogging up your computer with these big images that you're sending around. And so a lot of people really like that. So another way that I could send these documents is click on the button here that says History, and it's going to default to today's date, and I can just click on Submit, and I happen to be a administrator of this account, so I can see all the people in my office that are downloading copies today, and then I can go down and say, well, this was a document here that I wanted to send, so I actually can just go here and click Copy and just drop that right into an email and paste it in. I'm just going to hit the paste button here, and then whoever I send this to can just click on that link to the document and they can download it. So just kind of keep that in mind. You can move these documents around very quickly, and that's a good way to do that. I'm back to the Home button now, and again, the grantor-grantee, I do want to show you also too. We've built some other features particularly in the smaller counties. We haven't done this in all counties yet, but if I go to Anderson County, and let's say, for instance, in Anderson County is a very active oil and gas county, you notice that you can search by grantor, grantee, party name, sub-search, and then you can search by the legal description or abstract number or acreage. So, for instance, I believe there's a survey there called Clemens, C-E-M-M-O-N-S. And so I'm just going to search the Clemens survey out of Anderson County. So it's going through I probably picked the wrong county here, or I spelled Clemens wrong. So let me just run the party name here. So I'm just going to put Smith. Well, okay. Obviously there's something I'm doing wrong here, but let's see here. I can see it spinning now. So if we look at James Smith or J. Smith, and I wanted to look at, let's say, a legal description, which is this binge survey, abstract 106, I'm just going to copy that. And then I'm going to hit the back button on my browser. And I'm going to take Smith out of there, and I'm going to paste in under the legal B-E-N-G, which is kind of an unusual name for a survey. So it's essentially going through and finding everything that has B-E-N-G in it. So we can see Alfred Binge, abstract 106, and it's displaying 5 pages of records, and there's 444 records. So, for instance, and you can see the first record is back in 1983. So I see a deed going into, let's say, this Anna Price person or this May Brown person. there's a narrow search button at the top. So I could put in just the name Brown and say, go through these 5 pages here and found anything that has the word Brown in it. So you can see here's Brown buying the property, and then you might see this May Brown selling the property to here. So again, you have the ability to be able to filter the search down to additional records here by using this narrow search function at the top. But what's really powerful here is just the ability to be able to put in a survey name, and then also too, for instance, if I knew I was looking for a 46.95 acre tract, I could go in here under the acreage and put in 46.9 and say go find everything that has B, E, and G that is actually indexed to 46.9, and then you'll be able to very quickly come up with some information there. I wouldn't want to necessarily bet the ranch that this is every property that deals with the 46.9, but if it gives you a snapshot and a really good head start on the searching, then that's how you want to use it. So back to the home button again, and again, you're going to see this ability to search by the legal description on the grantor-grantee and a lot more counties as we go along.
Paul, we do have a question about grantor-grantee indexes, and it is, can we do grantor-grantee searches if we only have a free, plan 1, basically, they don't pay a monthly fee?
Yeah, you don't actually even have to be logged on to the system to be able to do a grantor-grantee search. So the answer is yes. So just by having a subscription, though, you can also go into these historical records, which we'll show you in just a little bit. But by having a subscription and having your credit card current and that sort of thing, when you need a document, then you can pull that document. So the answer is yes, that you can search without, and you can do all the kind of searching that I'm showing you without having a Plan 2 or some other account. So let's look at the property tax report. I mentioned earlier that if you're trying to find someone that, let's say, has moved to California, a lot of the landmen that are doing due diligence or trying to track people down, they're always looking for people. So for instance, I'm looking for somebody by the name of Combs, which is my last name, and the first name is John, and I'm looking for the person that's named John Combs that I think moved to California. Well, very quickly it comes up and says, this is someone in Arizona, California, that's probably my person, and then here's Houston and North Carolina and Iowa. So I can just put in a little bit of information, again, a first name, last name. If you have a more common name, then you'd probably want to narrow your search down to a state, if you know what state or think what state they're in. And then, for instance, you can also do the same thing with an address. So if you know the address of someone, sometimes what happens, particularly in the title business, people will send you an order and they'll say, well, this property is in Denton County, for instance. Well, you're looking at Denton County and you can't find it, and you're saying, well, I can't find it here. You're able to put in an address, and then it'll bring up information where you can look at it and say, well, that property is actually, in Bexar County because I see it's San Antonio, Texas. So you can again use this as a tool to be able to find out that other information. I'm going to very quickly look at our GIS information, and I don't know how much of y'all know what GIS is, but in our case what we do is want to provide you access to data so you can create mailing labels, and that's what we're providing it for. So, but GIS really is the layers of information. So if you kind of look along the left-hand side, our layers include commercial and residential, new home sales, blocks, parcels, abstract numbers. So, and you can see mainly the counties that we have the GIS in right now are kind of the major real estate counties. We're really going to be focused this year on putting more of the oil and gas counties online, but right now we've kind of started at least with the real estate counties. So if I were to, let's say, use this button along the left-hand side, there's a button here that says zoom to an area. So let me just zoom to an area. So I'm just going to pick an area on the west side of Houston here. And when you see these blue dots that are showing up on the screen, those blue dots represent recent residential property sales. And as I get a little bit lower, you're going to notice that when I'm holding my mouse over the properties, then it'll actually pop up a window and tell me a little bit about the property itself. This is the taxpayer, here's the account number, and I could, if I wanted to, select certain properties that I want to build a report in, and so I could just click on the different properties I'm interested in. I can also, if I want to create mailing labels, I can choose to click on select multiple parcels, and you can notice that I'm putting a box around quite a few parcels here, and it's going to highlight those for us. And then if I click on the mailing label button along the left-hand side, then it's going to tell me that I've selected a certain number of parcels to create mailing labels for. So I've selected 89 accounts, and it's telling me to put in my Avery 8160 mailing labels into the printer. And if I wanted to charge this to a particular job number or project number, I can do that. So very quickly I can go in and just create mailing labels and be able to send out a mailer to people we're trying to reach out to. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this and go back to the home page for Courthouse Direct, and let's now go into the title into the historical records. So again, along the left-hand side, you see a button here that says Historical Deeds, Plats, etc. So what you're going to see here is this is actually like the largest repository of real property information in the state of Texas right here. It's pretty unbelievable, what you'll see. For instance, if I were to go to Wise County, now at the bottom of my list here, you can see how things are labeled as deeds, which would include mechanics liens and deeds and mortgages and that sort of thing, just to try to differentiate these. We call them deeds, which are the document images. And then if we keep going down, you'll see that we have different grantor-grantee indexes that we provide, also subdivision plats. And then when you see the word plant, that's our title plant. Now, the title plants you do have to pay to access the title plants. But for instance, if I wanted to look at the cards for Wise County, I'm just going to keep drilling down to an area. Let's say I'm going to do the Denson survey. I can see that if I just kind of drill down to this, you're going to see this is like flipping through the cards in the title plant. So essentially, if the bottom right-hand corner, there's a way to adjust the lighting here if it's too dark or too light. And from here, I can just, again, if we have landmen that are on the phone with us, they have probably worked in title plants or perhaps card plants where essentially you're flipping through the cards, and this is just like flipping through the cards in the title plant. So one thing about what we encourage the people that own these title plants to do is to index these records so their cards won't get out of order anymore. And so again, that's the card plant. Let's say, for instance, I wanted to look at the handwritten grantor-grantee indexes. So I can go in here and say, well, I'm looking for the deed records from 1843 to 1982, and I can just jump in here to some period of time. I'm just going to pick 1910 to 1920, and then I'm just going to, this is just like pulling the book off the shelf, and then I'm just going in here and trying to get started on a particular book. So, and from here it tells me that I need to flip down to a certain page number, so I can just go down to that page number and then use the grantor-grantee book. So so again, what we're trying to do is we don't want to get too fancy with the grantor-grantee books. What you want as a researcher is you just want to know, I want to be able to pull this book out just like I'm standing at the courthouse and flip through the pages and have confidence that all the pages are there, number one, and that they're legible and they're ones that we can use. So again, we use a real high-end photography to do all this scanning. So for instance, just if we look at Chambers County, for instance, and we just go to the grantor-grantee index, and I jump in here, just the reverse index, you can see how we index these, where essentially it tells me that if I'm looking for, if I go down to the bottom here, something that starts with BE, I know I need to go down to page 15, and you can see there's page 15, and then I can just go to page 15 and then start searching, page 15. To go to the next page, I can just click the next button at the top, and that'll flip me to the next page. So now, if we wanted to look at the actual deeds, for instance, the document images, then I could go in here and just, these happen to be OPR records, but I wanted to go down to volume 3, page 5, if you will. So this is, again, like pulling a book off the shelf. I'm just wanting to, read the document. And what's kind of cool is that the documents are actually free to view. It doesn't cost anything to view the document. The only time you pay is when you decide you want to hit the download button. So as a landman, I know a lot of times you may have 20 or 30 documents you need to look at, but you only need to download 4 or 5 of them, and you have the ability on our system to be able to do that. So again, taking a look at Harris County here, let's say, for instance, I wanted to pull a volume 800, page 10. Again, it's as easy just going down to the volume and page number, 800. I want to go to page 10. And so you can see the date on this is 1929. This is the first, you can notice it's not, the first page is at the bottom of the page, and if I want to flip to the next page, bottom left-hand corner, there's a right-hand arrow, and I just flip to the next page. And then when I click the download button, then essentially I'm downloading 2 pages at one time. So, let's go back up. And Karen, is there any other questions before I go to the title plan?
No, not at this time.
Okay. So I'm gonna click on the click and go back to the home page for Courthouse Direct. And actually, before I go to the title plan, I do want to show you these other tools that I mentioned, the adverse lien search. So I can go in here and let's say, for instance, I'm in Anderson County, so I'm just going to put in the name Smith and say, go find any involuntary liens that have the name Smith in it. So you'll see here's federal tax liens, and you would think maybe this would be like 30 pages, but Anderson's not a large county. So we're displaying 100 records to a page, and the first involuntary lien, if you will, is back in 1983. So what we've done is filtered out just those things that you're looking for that can kind of sting you, which are these involuntary liens, and so we've kind of done the work for you in terms of being able to sort that information out. So that's really your adverse lien search right there. Really easy to use. Just pick the county, put in, do the search, and you'll get that information pretty quickly. The other tool that I mentioned that we built was this lease alert, the lease check tool. And again, I keep using Anderson County, but just like, for instance, if I ran the party name, again, Smith, A. Smith, and I see these different surveys here, and I say, well, I'm really looking for something that's in the, looks like the Betic survey, Francis Betic. Then it's easy enough to just copy that, hit the back button, paste in the Betic, and then say, go find everything that's in Betic that's in Anderson County, and it'll pretty quickly go in and filter only the oil and gas related documents. The search we did before in Anderson County was where we were looking for every kind of different document that was out there. Now we're only looking specifically for oil and gas documents. So think about what a typical lease check would be for a landman. You're going to go to a courthouse, you're going to pull the tax information, you're going to build a chain of title back, you're going to look for any oil and gas leases, mineral reservations, and so on. Essentially what we're able to do here is just go in here and say, okay, well, what I'm looking for is anything that's indexed against the Betic or Betic survey. These all look like abstract 105s, and I can see the latest document, at least that is referenced in the Betic, is a mineral deed on 1/17/2014. But I can look at all these documents and say, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. So so again, that's a very, very powerful tool. It's a free search, so it doesn't cost any more to be able to do that, but it gives you the resource you need to be able to get your job done much, much faster. So let's look at this lease alert. The lease alert is something we attended the NAPE convention and rolled the lease alert out at the NAPE convention here in Houston. And essentially what we do is as documents are being filed in the courthouse, we're looking for any document that is an oil and gas lease, and then we're publishing that information so that you can look at the most recent oil and gas leases that are filed. And to sign up for this, it really is just filling in this very quick form. You're not required to put in a password, doesn't require a credit card, doesn't require any of that. And then what you're able to get is an actual lease alert. And I'm going to show you the lease alert that I received this morning. So I'm signed up on all the counties, so you're going to see a lot of, you may or may not want to be signed up on all these counties. But if you're working in a particular county, you definitely want to be signed up in that county, because if you're running title on a file, let's say the Johnson tract, and you say, well, Johnson just got leased last week, you probably can stop working on that. Also, too, what's interesting, if you're a broker and you know, hey, look what's going on here in Burleson County, 94 oil and gas leases filed, or at least oil and gas related documents filed in Burleson County, I might want to look at that. So I just clicked on Burleson County here, and it's going to essentially pull up any of the oil and gas leases that were filed in that county, from the lease alert. And so from here I can look at this and say, well, I see all these leases that are being taken out of the Buchanan survey, or the Cox survey, or whatever it might be, and then I can say, well, those are the documents I want to look at. So you can see who's doing what, and it's not strictly oil and gas records. If you notice, these are some assignments of mineral leases, mineral deeds, royalty deeds, pooling agreements. So a lot of different resources here that we're looking at. And now, if I go back to again my lease alert report here, actually I'm going to go to my email. And I want to pick a different county. Let's say, for instance, if I go to Jefferson County. What I wanted to show you is that let's say, for instance, in that search I did, what was it, Burleson County or whatever, it wasn't showing the document images, because what's important to us is to get that information out to you as quick as we can to say, these are the leases that were filed. And let's say, for instance, the image come another day or two later after the index. What we'll do is we'll plug those images in, and then you're able to actually open the document images. So, for instance, if I wanted to look at this, image where Dishman family leased to this Ballard, then I can just open that up. This is actually a free service. The documents are free to view also. So, so you can go through and say, well, these are the documents I need to look at, and yeah, that was my property, or that's one we were searching, and it gives you that kind of real-time information. So it's just an extremely powerful tool. And then, for instance, if I knew that what I was looking for was out of this HP, that's kind of a trick. Yeah, any landman would know that's kind of a tricky deal. But if I wanted to do a quick lease check in there, then I would be able to go in here and put in, take that particular survey or whatever it is and be able to search it, in the against the legal description. So back to the home page again. I want to go into the title plan itself, and so this is going to be kind of quick, but we're going into the GO index. So these are all, some are what you would call oil and gas county. A lot of them are oil and gas counties, and then there's other counties that are more, I guess you'd call real estate counties. And I'm just going to jump into Harris County, show you very quickly. You'll need to put in like a job number. I'm just going to call it test 30, and then I would put in the legal description. So, for instance, I'm looking for Gessner Grove subdivision, and I'm looking for lot number 5, and I'm looking for block number 1. Well, I'm looking for Gessner Grove, but you notice I didn't spell out Grove. I just put in Gessner G. In the lot 5 and block 1, Harris County is really the only county that you have to put in these leading zeros. But any other county, you just put in the survey name and or the subdivision name, just the one number lot. And so from here, I can see essentially a chain of titles. So I can look at Lasky to Harvey. And you notice there's kind of a white area, then a dark area. Anything in the white area is part of the same record. Anything in the dark area is part of the same record also. So I can just look at this chain of title and kind of follow all the warranty deeds through. And then when I get to the bottom, I can say, well, these are the documents I need. So if you notice on the left-hand side, I'm just picking documents that I want to add to my report. And I'm just kind of narrow this down to just a few documents to make it a little bit easier. And I can just call this, test 30 report. And then I'm just going to add that to my report. So once I've done that, I've run the legal description, and I think I have a decent chain of title. Then I'll say, well, now I need to look at the name search and look at all the activity on the name. And you notice I'm just holding my mouse over the name Sylvia Gia and clicking on that. So it's going to populate that into the general search. And this general search allows you to search essentially the grantor-grantee, but really allows you to search anywhere in the database. So this is everything with Sylvia Gia. And so I also see that there's a David Agia here, so I want to run David Agia. So again, you notice I'm taking out all the middle initials. I want to keep this search as broad as possible. And then I want to add everything into the report for David Agia. Now you might look at what I'm doing here and say, well, I think you've already added that to the report. It doesn't matter. It doesn't repeat the information. So now I want to view the report. So I click on that. It may not be in chronological order. I can see that 2010 document is outside the chronological order. So I just click on the file date. That'll put everything back in chronological order. And now I want to download the copies for this particular order. And I just click on the asterisk here. That checkboxes everything below. And then I say get selected documents. So we're going to the image database to pull the actual document now. So you can see all the images that are linked into this database along the right-hand side. And then I can just choose to open the particular documents that I want to read and very quickly be able to just move from one document to another. So for instance, if I wanted to email this report that I just created, and keep in mind what I did a legal search on the property. I did a name search for the husband, name search for the wife, and that's typically what you would want to do on a typical O&E report or something like that. And I want to save this report as MS Word. So I clicked on Save Report as MS Word, and down at the bottom it's giving me a choice to open or save. You would think you want to hit Save, but you actually click Open because what you're doing is you're opening a Word document, and you're taking this information and just dropping it into a Word document. So again, if I wanted to send this to Karen, I could just say Save and Send as an attachment, and what it'll do, it'll automatically attach that to and I'm just going to call this run sheet, but it'll attach it to the email, and then I just put in Karen's name here and hit the send button, and I've sent her that report. So you can see how quickly I can run the legal description on a lot and block of a subdivision, run the name for the husband, name for the search, for the name for the wife, and be able to send that information out. Now, you notice that top left-hand corner, we have that button that says General Search. I'm going to click on that again, and I'm going to show you why this General Search is so powerful. If I were looking for a 4.126 acre tract in Harris County, then it goes through the whole database very quickly, and it's going to look for anything that has 4.126. Well, I say, well, that's that narrows it down to only 48 records. And then I say, well, what I'm looking for is 4.126 that's in the page survey. So I can put in a plus sign and then put in PAGE for page survey and say, now go find anything that has 4.12 in page. And it narrows it down just to those things that are in the page survey. So this general search, we have a saying around here that is that the general search is your friend, because you can put any little bits of information in here. For instance, if I'm looking for what Houston Lighting and Power Company did with the city of Pasadena, then I can just match those, and it'll go through the whole database. A search like this in other databases might take a while. This is very, very fast. So you're just going to be able to, narrow it down. This is all the activity that we're finding, at least wherever it's indexed. City of P, which picks up Pasadena and the abbreviations for Pasadena, and Houston Lighting and Power Company, which we abbreviate as Houston L. So it's just a powerful, powerful tool. It's kind of a, that's where we're able to really spin off the work that we did on the grantor-grantee indexes. As you recall, we had, on our grantor-grantee indexes, we had the ability to put in a legal description. That's really something that came from this ability to be able to filter the searches out. So also for people that subscribe to our title plans, we do have probate records and other kind of information that is real helpful to them. And then, for instance, if I needed to pull a subdivision plat, I could just go in here and say, well, Gessner Grove was the subdivision I was looking for. Go search Gessner Grove, and then I can just say I want to pull up this plat. And let's say, for instance, I want to pull up a prior title commitment. You notice I have this little drop down here, and I'm choosing new. I'm going to add that to my report. Again, I'm going to look at my report, and at the bottom, I've just added a couple more things that I want to pull up. And so I can just click here and then open, and I've got the subdivision map in front of me. And if I wanted to look at a prior title commitment on the property, because I want to look at the deed restrictions or something like that, then I can use that as a tool to be able to get to that information pretty quickly. So, again, that's this Plat and Starter New button that's in the title plan that allows you to do that searching. And again, we're probably going to expose that on our grantor-grantee side too at some point. But so anyway, that's kind of all I have for now. Again, Karen, is there anything that I didn't cover that I should have covered this morning?
I don't believe so, and there are no other questions.
Okay. Let me see real quickly before we let you go. Again, I did just one other thing. We did mention Courthouse Square to you, and this is Courthouse Square right here. So, for instance, if I were looking for a land surveyor in Harris County, I could choose Texas, and then I could choose the county. I'm looking for Harris County. So let's just go to Harris. And then I choose the category of service that I'm looking for. Again, if I were an oil and gas landman, I want to get listed, I could list myself as a landman. But let's say, for instance, I'm looking for a commercial surveyor. So it's going to show me on a map. These are all the different commercial surveyors in the area, and if I hold my mouse over them, it'll kind of pop open and show who they are. And so we have their logo, also their address, and a link to their email. And then if you want to order, place an order with these folks, you can actually click on the Order Now button. And if they have their own online order form, then that will send that order directly to their offices. So a good resource, particularly if you're trying to get a doc retrieval done or something like that, and you don't have somebody local there, or if there is someone local, I should say, it's good to do business with a local person that can just walk across the street and take care of you. So, so again, I just wanted to point out Courthouse Square to you if you are not familiar with it. Take the time to check that out. So, all right, well, great. Well, we appreciate everyone being here, and if you have any questions, I'm going to leave my direct line number with you, and that's 713-683-4012. Again, my name is Paul Cones, and feel free to give me a call if you have any questions, or if you have people on your staff that need to sit through a little bit of training. We're more than happy to do that. We want to give you the information you need to, again, be as effective as you can, and we don't mind spending some time with you, give you the training you need, and so you can actually get your job done quicker and faster and better. So, again, we do appreciate it, and y'all all have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.